Hey, this is High Tech Gaming here, bringing you another War Thunder video, this time a tank review on the M4A1 Sherman. The M4A1 Sherman is in the American tier. It is a tier 2 tank with a battle ranking of 3.3. It features a 75mm cannon, a top speed of 38 kilometers per hour, and a reload which takes only 6.5 seconds. Not to mention that, but it pairs this with an exceptional rotational speed of the turret at 19.8 degrees per second. The tank is visually appealing from all sides, having this nice rounded look. The tank is also exceptionally armored, featuring on average about 50 millimeters of effective armor on the hull, and very few weak spots minus the small gunner sights and the top of the tank, from which shells can actually penetrate. However, I did find throughout playing with this tank that the treads are very weak, and it doesn't take very much for them to pop apart, and then you have to stop and repair them. And it's quite annoying, but other than that small weakness, this tank is very well rounded. Moving on to the internals of the tank, this is where things get interesting. So within the tank, we have a pretty standard configuration for the operators, but the engine this tank features is actually a radial engine, something that looks like it could have been out of an airplane, and they just adapted it with a tank transmission because maybe it was a spare part, or it was left behind from an older airplane design, so they didn't need this engine anymore, but they still needed to produce tanks, and it was cheaper for them to use this outdated engine than it would be to make standard V configuration or inline engine for this tank. So that's definitely an interesting characteristic that this tank has that it shares with the other low tier American tanks that they produced towards the beginning of the war. Both the ammo and fuel storage on this tank, however, is pushed to the sides of the walls, so it's pretty easily hit if they know where to aim. And as long as you don't load it full of ammo, it's not really that big of a problem, but experienced gunners will be able to take out this tank in a shot or two if they're shooting from the side. So with this tank, it's important that you face your target directly to avoid that kind of conflict. Overall, the M4A1 Sherman is an extremely maneuverable, very capable tank in the lower tiers for American tanks in War Thunder, and I highly suggest researching it if you haven't already, because in the medium tanks section, it is only the third tank, and this allows you to unlock it very early on in your gameplay. Here's some gameplay to demonstrate some of the strengths that I talked about.